Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. I thought it would be nice, because I talk so much about pick soldering throughout my videos, if I would offer you a video with a few designs that give you the opportunity to practice pick soldering. So I will make 3 different bands in this one. I think it'll be, I think they'll turn out attractive. We'll see. I sketched up some ideas and we'll see if they turn out. But the big point here will be that it's good pick soldering practice, and that's one of the skills that I have found over the years that has made the most difference in my abilities here. So uh, hopefully this will help you as well. Before we get started, I wanted to thank some people. My patrons over on Patreon are my core group of supporters. I have a couple of new ones. Julie B. and Linda D., thank you for signing up. I do appreciate your support, and I hope that you'll find, as I have, that the other people on Patreon over there are a nice group of people with a lot of skills who are willing to share those. So thanks for that, and thank you to my previous patrons as well. I do appreciate your support. My other group is my YouTube subscribers. We just passed 24,200. That's an amazing number. I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined that many people were watching videos that I made on the internet. But I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the nice comments that I get. It's lovely to hear when people are getting some good out of these things, and that's always nice to know. So it makes me feel like I'm doing something good. Thank you also for the financial support. The Buy Me a Coffees, a super thanks. Um, when you buy my merch or if you buy my ebooks, all of that stuff makes my YouTube channel sustainable, and I couldn't do it without your support. So thanks for that. All right, well, let's make some pick soldering practice rings. So this is one of my design idea sketchbooks that you can get on my merch store. I have a number of different versions. This particular one has a gauge to inches to millimeter chart that I find pretty useful. Um, it also features, as all of them do, a dot matrix thing in the background, which makes it a little bit easier for me to draw better pictures, as drawing is not my primary talent. But some of the other books have different information on them, or useful charts and things like that, so check those out. So I drew up some ideas for rings here, and I've largely made the components that I needed to do this because I really wanted to focus on the pick soldering part of it. I will show you how I made each of these different pieces. It's not too hard. I think probably start with the spiral ones, see how that goes. I may not put them all in the same direction like that. I might alternate them in different ways and see how that looks. It'll be kind of fun to try that. But the thing about pick soldering is, well, when I started doing this years ago, I made similar rings like this with some wire shapes soldered between 2 thicker wires like this. Incidentally, these are going to be 14 gauge round here, which is 1.6 millimeters. The things inside are going to be made out of 18 gauge round, which is 1 millimeter or so. So same way with the triangles and these things here. So, but these are the 3 that I'm going to do. But when I started years ago, to do something like this, I was laying a little piece of solder on each spot where it needed to be soldered. And in this one, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, you know, and just probably 30 or so solder joints. It's just tedious to have to place that many pieces of solder like that and get them all to balance on there without bumping the table or something. And so I found that what took me, you know, maybe an hour or an hour and a half to make in the beginning, once I got competent at pick soldering, I could do it in 10 minutes or so. So it's a great speed enhancer. And it kind of moves you up a level. So if you're interested, I have a video all about it, but these are going to be some projects we're just going to do it, and you'll kind of see how quickly it works. So hopefully, if I'm having a good soldering night tonight. I think let's start with the triangles. So each of these triangles in the middle, here's the wires. This is 14 gauge round, like I said, and I already straightened them out so that we'd be ready to do this. But these are the triangles, and what I did was I took 18 gauge and I located my ruler, which I couldn't find right there. And oh, I actually kept one as a template. This is actually 15 millimeters long, so just use it to cut off multiple pieces of this. You know, and continue on down the line. I'm just going to cut one so I can show you how I made them. I used a marker to mark it into thirds, and since they're 15 millimeters roughly, you know, every 5 millimeters, so about right there, and about right there, and then I'm going to file a little notch at each of those spots. I'm just using a half-round jeweler's file here. You don't have to file all the way through. In fact, you don't want to, really. You could make this out of 3 individual pieces for each triangle, but that would be challenging to keep track of all of the little, you know, pieces that are rolling everywhere. So. So we have a little triangle like that. I also, it's going to wind up nicely, just for consistency's sake. I filed the ends a little bit flat, like this, where they come together. And then what we'll do is we'll alternate them between the wires. So let's get these lined up and kind of put in place. See how consistent I am. Alright, so we're going to be using hard silver sheet solder, and I use a liquid flux that I dribble on with my dropper bottle. And the torch is a Smith, Silversmith model. It pulls in atmospheric air through this hole, mixes it with the acetylene gas, and produces a hotter flame than, say, a propane or a butane torch. But not as hot as oxyacetylene, because it's not putting pure oxygen into the flame. So I use one of these flat Pepe Tools soldering picks. I really like it. It's been a good pick for me. Just going to get this dropper bottle here. Okay, so the thing that I do wrong all the time is I get impatient and stick the solder in too soon. But once I get this to temperature, as long as I can pick up these pieces pretty quickly, I can bop them on there reasonably fast. So the key to it, of course, is getting both pieces you're trying to solder together to the right temperature, which is about 1450 degrees in the case of hard solder. Yeah, I missed one there. Okay, so I think I got all those. Before I make it into a band, I'll double check to make sure. But you can see how quick that goes. Okay, I think let's do the spirals for the second one. What do you think? Tight spirals like this are easy to do. I just take a little bit of 18 gauge round like this, snip the end. I like to hook over the tip of it. Kind of make a little hook in the end, and then I'm going to snip about half of that part that's sticking down off. And then I like to use my flat nose pliers. You can just build a spiral around that little nub that you have on the end there. So you grab it, and these pliers with some, get a pretty good grip on the wire. Just bend it down towards you without letting it spin in the pliers. Grab it again, hold it tight, bend it. Just keep doing that. You know, and you make them as big as you want them to be. And just snip them off to the length you want. So what do you think? Should we do alternate them in the direction that they're going? I think that seems like kind of fun. There'll be one spot here and here where it's not going to make, the pattern's not going to match up quite right, but that's okay. It'll be hard to notice that, I think. One challenge when you're doing spirals is if you get solder inside of the spiral, it's going to wick along the entire length of it, pretty much, as long as it's in close contact. And so if you don't want that to happen, you know, there's a lot of different ways to prevent solder from flowing where you don't want it to flow. A lot of people use, is it yellow rouge, I think, painted on it. Some people use water-based whiteout. There's a lot of different things people use for that. I got a little bit of flow inside of that one. I was doing pretty well, but then, you know, what are you gonna do? If I was being nitpicky, I would pull that one out and do another one, but you missed one, right? Okay. Even though I had a couple of boo-boos, I'm going to call that good. That'll be a pretty cool ring, I think. The last one, I'm going to have to do it in 2 stages, I think, because each one of these pieces is an arc. So we need to make them into kind of little marquee shapes first, and then we'll put them together and line them up like that. So I think we'll do it in a 2-step process. Oh, and the way that I made these ones, I just took my bail making pliers and wrapped this into a spring around this. And I snipped off segments. For this one I used the end on one of the 10 points, and then where it crossed over here to the next 10 millimeter point is where it cut off, if that makes any sense. I don't think I said that very well. And then I filed the ends flat so that they'd meet a little bit more snugly. So let's go ahead and solder these together. Start with those and see if we can get these made into little footballs. Stuff like this, because the wire's light, if you're not careful, it can suck itself together like raise itself off the pad and have the two wires completely soldered together along the entire length. Then what will you do? Probably have to start fresh on that one. See, that one started to do that. Okay, you guys need to cooperate. May get an automatic solder where the solder on the ends there already, but if not, we can go ahead and solder them. I may focus on soldering them onto the one side first so that they don't move very much. Okay, I've got these kind of shaped where the ends are all lined up, and I thought, let's turn them into rings. We'll pickle them, shape them, polish them, and then I'll show you the final result. And know that, you know, there's a zillion variations of these things. You could do all sorts of different shapes. You could mix and match shapes. You could space them differently throughout. You could do letters. You could make it look like little waves. I've done some with little tiny peace signs before. That one's done. Well, I don't think I flux those. I forgot there was a triangle here that wasn't quite solid, so I'm going to fix that one out. I'll get those cleaned up and I'll show you the final result. And we'll get some pictures. So I got these cleaned up. Here's the first one we did. I kind of like that. Very good pick soldering practice. So, second one, this one was, I think this is probably my favorite. You'll have to tell me which one's your favorite in the comment section if you have one. This one's okay. I've done similar things to this before. I don't know if I've done anything quite like these two, but I like them generally. Like I said, there's lots of variations, and these sell relatively well. People seem to like these sorts of things, and so I think it's a win-win for everything. Lots of pick soldering practice, a few cool unique bands, and lots of mix and match things you can do. So tell me what you think. Tell me which one you like best. I'll get some better pictures and put them at the end. Okay, well that was some ring designs that are good to help you practice your pick soldering. Here's another video that has some more like that. And if you enjoyed this and found it useful, make sure to hit the like button for me. That helps me out a great deal in getting my channel promoted. I also love comments, as I said before, and I'd love it if you'd take a moment and visit my main channel page on YouTube. I have 540 plus videos now. I do 3 per week, one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, and one on Saturday. There's almost certainly something else there you'll find useful or valuable, and I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel as well. So don't forget to hit the video description down below. There's some important links in addition to the information about this particular video. There's a link to my Patreon if you want to find out more about the different tiers of membership there. The lowest tier is simply getting all of my videos without the YouTube advertisements, which is nice. And then the other tiers above that have some additional perks like exclusive tutorials, and I do some live streaming sometimes over there, which is nice to get to meet some of those folks. So check that out. I find that it's a nice community with a whole bunch of cool people, so I enjoy interacting with them over there. There's a link to my ebooks if you want to get yourself one of those. They're tutorial guides. They have a page for each of my tutorials, like in 2024. And on each page is a link to the video itself. There's a picture of the sketch that I drew. There's a picture of the final product. There's a list of materials you need to make the project. A difficulty rating, kind of subjective on my part. And there are additional notes about each video, things that I might have learned from the process of doing that one, if I might do something different the second time around, or things like that. So it's a nice way to have a whole bunch of projects right at your fingertips, and a really nice way to support my channel. So thanks in advance if you do that. There's also a link to my merch store if you want to get yourself one of those nice design idea sketchbooks that I talked about at the beginning. I find those to be super useful in keeping track of your projects and having a record of how you did things, so you can go back and repeat them if you need to. So, all right, well, thanks for watching today. Take care. Happy silversmithing.